night shift, my 5 hours.
My workout, my 5 hours.
My class, my 5 hours.
My life, my 5 hours.
Alright, we're back with more Void's Blitzarre Adventure. I'm gonna wait a little bit for some people to show up, and then we can get started with Chapter 5, Hard Mode. In the meantime, though, I can certainly start working on inventory management. Coming off of playing Shadow of Valencia, it's something that's a little novel, a little nostalgic. Same heroes as well. That's been most of my Fire Emblem recently, aside from this. I did go back and replay Chapter 4, and kept Leroy alive this time. I decided it was a little too early for me to be losing my Jagan, as flimsy as he is. He still has an offensive presence that I worry might have gated me in the future if I had let him go so soon, considering this is a full 31 chapter hack. See, make sure everyone has some iron stuff, both for the hit rates, which is usually better than the killer weapons and steel weapons, and also just to help kind of conserve those valuable weapons, the killer stuff. I'm not going to be super stingy with them, mostly, especially because I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to be up against. And especially given the difficulty curve so far, I definitely felt that I've needed them in certain cases. I've almost burned through all of Vanna's Shamshir here. And she's about halfway. Can't go over and check anymore, can I? No. About halfway to a C rank in swords, and then I'll be able to give her a killing edge, but until then, the Shamshir is going to have to last as my last resort for her. If I need a bit more power and kill potential, and then just run with the Iron Sword until we get to a C rank. I did want to give Void a Killer Lance and an Iron Lance. Same general idea. Let the Blitz Lance rest a little bit. Now that I don't have to, now that that's not her only weapon, it's still going to be invaluable against armored and horse enemies. But for everything else, these two should definitely put in plenty of work. I do have a talisman here. I'm a little uncertain of who to use it on yet. Don't think I have anyone with good res. My priest is the only one with decent res growth. I think I'm gonna give it to not Arch. 5/5. If only because he's probably the best option for baiting enemy mages. Okay, I do have a heal. I've got an extra killer bow, killer lance. I can give Anna the steel sword for an extra, a little bit extra budget power. I took it off of Leroy. Make sure everyone has some healing items. Decided to bench Jerome, especially now that I am getting a little short on deployment slots. I'm only allowed to bring 8 to this chapter. And I'm split up. That's lovely. Interesting, but not going to be fun. I said originally in my first video that I was going to do this Iron Man, and I've kind of backing a bit out on that, mostly because the luck stat on my team is abysmal to the point where I have a feeling I'm going to run into a lot of unfortunate crits that aren't really a reflection of my skill as a player and are just bad luck. And that's not really something I feel justified in having to carry in an Iron Man. So I will judiciously reset as I think it may be necessary, as in the case with Leroy in the previous chapter. Just because I don't want to make sure I don't screw myself over for later. Alright, so let me take a look at some of these enemies. A little curious to see provoke on an enemy unit, considering it's a skill that influences AI, but obviously isn't going to affect me. I'm still going to nuke him with the mage on the first turn. This is some pretty solid enemy placement. I can choose to bait these two enemies in the first turn and stay safe from these two. However, if I do that, I'm forced to take attacks from these two in order to avoid attacks from these two, whereas I could also kill these two on the first turn, say using these 4 characters and potentially not take any attacks from either of them, but I will have to deal with attacks from these two on the following turn. To some extent, I do see an opportunity here where I can pick off this knight with not Arch from range and not have to worry about the javelin thrower. Let's see, 4 resistance, 25 HP, so 29, 8 speed, 17, 3 speed. Actually, yeah, that should double 17. It's 34. Yeah, so that he can run 1 round this knight on the first turn. These are hut tiles, I should say. They appear mostly in Fire Emblem 6, I believe. They might be slightly altered for this version. See, I can't check. Oops. Interesting that they're here. I can't tell right from where I am. Actually, here. Yes. So, interestingly, these are considered obstacles in this hack right here. Um, they have no terrain attributes, and I cannot pass through them. In FE6, they were either visitable houses or they were actually like defensive terrain, or they gave a small avoid bonus. I do still have the option of shifting around here, which I probably should, considering there's a whole bunch of mercenaries there. No easy way. As much as Leroy is going to has good offensive power, he's still extremely fragile. So he's not real great at, not going to be very great at tanking over here. The ruins don't have any defensive bonus. Forests have plenty, but we are not continuing with the unusual trend from last chapter where the enemies have an absurd amount of luck, which will help not make my hit rates abysmal, even on neutral ground. We're going back to what looks like fairly standard Sacred Stones values. Rally strength. I wonder if he's going to use it. I wonder if any of them are going to use it. I wonder if I'm going to be able to tell if they use it. I gotta turn up my volume a little bit, because as far as I can remember, when I used my rally skills with Betty here, the only kind of indication that it was happening other than me using the command was an audio cue. So it'll be interesting to see if the AI is in programmed to use that or not. May stick with Tam on this side just for his nice well-rounded stats. Because Anna's pretty fragile too, and doesn't bring a lot of power, though she does have... Her void might make her dodgy enough in order to kind of hold out around here, so I might actually bring her in. I'm gonna pass Betty my other elixir just for that team to have access to, because they won't have the supply convoy access that comes with Void. I don't technically have to hold on to that in the inventory. Wish I had picked up a better tome to give Not Arch. As much as I love Elfire's animation, it's not... its weight is a little too high for it to be safe to use in a lot of cases, especially given how mages don't usually have very high con, and that's going to drop my attack speed by 3 in this case, since your attack speed is modified by the weight of your weapon compared to your constitution. Weapon weight minus con is subtracted from your speed. So he'll be attacking with 5 attack speed, which isn't great. Seal speed will help on the following turn and for the counterattack, but doesn't help so much with the opening. Actually, I did forget to check. I did forget to factor that in when I was looking at that knight earlier. The knight's got 3 speed, no, not weighed down at all by his weapon, so I actually can't double this knight with not arch. Meaning I'm gonna have to use one of my fighters to follow up to get that kill. I can move down here. You've got the hand axe. Hand axe only has 2 uses still on it. Hatchet's always nice. I like its hit rate. It's low weight as well for a range 1-2 weapon. Arguably better than the hand axe. Yeah, for having hit and low weight, same range and stuff. That is a terrifying mug. I'm going to be seeing that in my nightmares. Alright, fairly normal stat spread. Kind of reminds me of the first general boss you run into in Fire Emblem 7 in outside of Lynn's story. Not Balker. Balker was the knight who's guarding the castle. Bernard, I think, was his name. It's a very similar stat spread. But Miracle, 5 lethal attack if HP is above 50. Okay. I don't think I'm going to be one-shotting this boss in any event, so that probably won't be a factor. Natural cover. That's going to be fun to deal with. It's going to, since it's -3 damage taken, that applies to both defense and resistance in this case, since it's whatever damage they take. So it effectively has 12 defense and, was it 3? 10 resistance. Light brand's not fun either, because I don't have a lot of high resistance units, so that's gonna deals magic damage. She is on the gate. So yeah, natural cover is definitely going to be something I have to deal with. I would say correct myself to he, but I'm not sure if that's actually been corrected properly or if they just left that there. Whatever. There's an armory. Armor Slayer might be useful. Lance Reavers. Yeah, I don't think I can afford both of those. Not at least as my funds currently stands. So I should try to see if I can sell a little bit. Yeah, I wasn't planning on using that Devil Axe. Not sure I can really afford to pass up much else. Let's see where that leaves me. 3,900. Nope, I'm still coming up short. How much can I get for the last? Not enough. Axes, for whatever reason, always sell for very low prices, so I'm not gonna salvage much off this one either. Alright, I may just have to pick between them when I get there. So I have the Blitz Lance. I may be alright without the Armor Slayer. But at the same time, it would also make up, the Armor Slayer would make up for her low strength. Nah. At the same time, Armor Slayer is only good against enemy types that are likely to wield weapons that are advantage against her anyway, so she's gonna feel a lot of pain on the counterattack and probably won't one-shot them. So yeah, I think I'm gonna aim for that Lance Reaver. Alright, well, let's see here. Oh, yeah. I mean, suppose I should have noticed when she could use the Killer Lance, but she did get up to a C rank. As expected, her skill and speed are alright for her level. Defense and res still being abysmally low. Strength's keeping up nicely, I suppose. But, alright. My defense isn't really great enough to be initiating on these mercenaries. So I gotta find a way if I can position myself for these guys to come to me. Which I think I can here. I think I can be patient here. Equip the steel sword, wait. So yeah. The fighter can only attack my Myrmidon, and the mercenary can only attack my Lance Lord. Okay. That side's set. Yep, as I expected. Can't double. Wish I had grabbed a Thunder Tome from earlier. Assuming that might have been in the one of the earlier shops. Thunder is, if it hasn't been tampered with stat-wise, which doesn't look like any of the weapons that I've run across so far have been. These are all standard values for GBA Fire Emblem. Thunder is one of, if not the best anima tome, just for its might to weight ratio with a decent, good hit still and a little bit of crit to ice the cake. 2, 8, 16, 13, that'll kill. This soldier also has a rally strength. These have cover, but they don't have, or these have natural cover, but they don't actually aren't actually on any terrain that offers benefits, so they're not actually activating that skill. Trolling Thunderbolt. I was just saying I wish I had a Thunderbolt I could throw. Alright. So after I throw this axe, it's gonna actually break. So, because these are the last 2 uses, so the next weapon in my inventory I need to make sure is something that I want them to have equipped. In this case, is just an iron axe. Oh yeah. You're surprised. Not Arch is surprisingly sturdy for a mage. You have 8 defense. That's actually might be the best defense of anyone on my team. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is. So I don't have to baby him as much as I normally might with other mage type characters. Yeah, this is how they're balancing out the Jagan. It certainly has forced me to play him a lot differently than I would a normal Jagan. It's like I could still nuke stuff with him, but if he doesn't dodge, then I'm in for a lot of pain. I gotta remember Betty has a rally spectrum, which is always awesome. And it applies to himself, which is actually not something that usually happens with rallies. But I'm gonna toss my hatchet at this guy just for some chip damage. And because the hatchet is a very safe weapon to have, I can bait this soldier at the same time. He'll throw the javelin since I've got weapon advantage and the rally, so I do 9. Yeah, that won't do much, especially with the 22. 9. That might actually hurt quite a bit. 22 minus 9. I may actually be able to use provoke to my advantage here with the 0 defense. Well, 2 defense with the rally. Just kind of split those attacks. Crit? Nah. Good. With a hit rate like that, I probably would have been okay. Oh, joy. Why is it snowing? Ah. Well, I suppose this doesn't hinder me too much, I guess. In a sense, this might actually be a bit of a boon, because I don't have to deal with these guys on the first turn. Or on this turn, I should say. Not Arch actually has a pretty decent movement still, even in the snow. This road probably seems to be part of it. Yeah, actually, so it's not related to Not Arch, it's just the road. It probably has a terrain bonus as opposed to a terrain neutral or terrain penalty. So this looks like it should be a safe place to give Not Arch some experience. It's my only magic attacker. He's going to be invaluable for at least until I get another. Read an interesting article. I don't remember if it was just on Reddit or linked to from Reddit or something. I was talking about an interview with Kaga and his design philosophy with unit balance, and it kind of talked about how most of the games are balanced around the idea that the average player will actually lose units, and the idea of resetting the chapter when you lose someone wasn't really. It kind of was incorporated into the plan, but wasn't considered as necessary. So the way that the game is balanced, the enemies are always supposed to be right around the level of difficulty where even if you had lost some units and had to replace them with like a substitute unit that came in later, say you were playing Sacred Stones and you accidentally lost loot, but you'd just gotten Ewan. Ewan starts out a lot weaker, and if you're not really grinding all the way along the way, he won't be up to where Loot probably was when you lost her. So the enemies are balanced in a way in the main series to kind of take that into account. So that's why if you do play by resetting and your units all survive and they gain all of the levels and experience along the way, they tend to feel overpowered, because the enemies are not balanced against units that have survived that long, I suppose, in the short way of putting it. Let's see, I can probably bait this guy this turn. Yeah. I went back to unit balance again still. For a second, the other idea that your units are going to feel kind of overpowered when you reset for them when they die, and they always keep their ooh, Pegasus. Kristen. Oi, you best listen near, mates. I'll give you a proper bashing, you cheeky brov. Right, I'll talk about that in just a second. But the idea that if you do reset for your units and they become super strong, that can also be kind of seen as a reward for, in the ideal sense, you've been playing perfectly and not made any losses, so you technically haven't reset. So that's the reward for playing well in that case, is having really strong units that perform well and kind of ease the difficulty curve. And resetting kind of simulates that situation forcibly, even when you do make mistakes. But in the case of Ewan, he's a bit of an extreme example. There are monsters that he can't kill by himself, and that's kind of where the team synergy, where you're supposed to kind of help protect them in order to build them up, kind of comes into play. Wow, it does not want me moving through these plains, and it's snowing. What's this? That's a reasonable matchup at least. So I'm gonna let the shaman come to me here. So yeah, you would have to baby Ewan if you had lost loot and you wanted to use Ewan as your replacement caster. And while it is certainly possible to solo with Seth, and some people would argue that's the optimal strategy, we're not really talking about an optimal case here to begin in any event. We're already talking about a case where a casual player has made a mistake, an error, and lost a unit. And whether they're playing an Iron Man run or just simply don't think to or don't want to reset, maybe they're really late into a chapter, don't want to have to deal with the entire chapter all over again. I've certainly been in those situations before myself. It can be kind of exhausting to get to the end of a long chapter and suddenly someone dies, and it kind of saps your desire to do any resetting to kind of get them back, especially if they weren't a major part of your party to begin with. But the other thing about that specific example, if you did lose loot, the game also gives you Saleh, who is pretty much the opposite of Ewan in that case. He's already a very solid sage with good, fantastic bases coming in completely viable right off the bat, and if you don't want to spend any investment, she's gonna blow herself up. Unless that was a Axe Reaver. I actually didn't check. I should have. That was an Axe Reaver. Unfortunately, there's a sword guy right there. What is that? Intimidate. Alright. Darting blow, yep. Those are actually some nice stats. She's weirdly no resistance for a Peg Knight, though Peg Knights having good resistance is actually a little more of a modern change than an actual traditional quality. I don't think I'm going to get to her. I can park Void right here. My other minor frustration with this hack is the fact that Void having 0 luck forever kind of means I'm constantly praying not to get low percentage critted, which is, as I kind of mentioned earlier, is not great game design because that's not something that's ever the player's fault. Especially in a case of a 0 luck unit where you can't even really pick matchups to mitigate crit chance. It's just everyone has a minor crit chance on him. Did Stefan have a really low luck? I usually pick him up when I play Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, but I fairly rarely actually use him, so I don't. It's been a long time since I've looked at his stat spread. It's kind of nasty that the hack's giving Iron Blades out. Kind of mitigates the big weakness of sword users and having lower strength, so he's still doing good chunks of damage here. My Jagan also has 0 luck, so I should. 19. I don't really see a safe option other than blasting. Yeah, you can't one-shot, and no one else can safely. Oh, how, yeah. 5 luck in Path of Radiance, and then 20 luck in Radiant Dawn. And yeah, 20 luck, especially depending on the battle formulas. 20 luck in like the Fates universe is only 10 points of crit reduction, and Radiant Dawn, the endgame units being like 2nd and 3rd tier, 20 luck certainly may fall short with crit reduction there. Depends on enemy weapons as well. How much damage do you actually take from? That's actually okay, not terrible. That Cav also only has Iron Lance too, so I've got weapon triangle advantage with my 2 fighters. It might actually be in my interest to wall off Leroy and let the fighters take the Cav's hits, or just not Arch can crit. That's okay too. I'm perfectly fine with that. Good job, not Arch. I didn't comment on it when the turn happened, but it was nice to see that those were not ambush reinforcements. Because based on, well, I was going to say based on the previous chapter's shenanigans, it wouldn't have surprised me to see ambush reinforcements. Great. Not sure I'm going to reset for her. Not right now, at least. I will keep keep this slot, or save this to a separate slot, and then may see about replaying this afterwards for next week or something, and see if I can actually save her. Nope, there goes my Shamshir. It did work though. It did good work. I'll be back in 1 second. I gotta close my door. Alright. Alright. Iron Axe and Slim Sword, huh? It was... I think this Slim Sword user was intended to clash with the Peg Knight, just to weaken her. Because if it had been like an iron or steel blade, it might have actually killed her. Or might have done more damage. Hard to say. I wish I could split these guys up, because I do want to continue feeding Void, but they have the same effective range here. No, I can't really do that safely. Best to let them clash into Anna here, who I probably could just leave her with the steel sword, and she has so much skill and speed that, especially with Lucky 7 still active too, and on a fort, she probably needs the damage more so than the extra safety. Yeah, she's even gonna double mercenary. Alright, Jay can kind of continue along with as a moral support. So these are kind of acting as forts here. Let's see. 9 con, 8 weight, so no penalty. So he should have 8 speed, 16 speed, 19 avoid. Okay, so yeah. Sometimes when these kinds of terrain where it's not an actual, or it's not a tile where the player can walk or the enemy can, but they spawn on top of it, sometimes they have hidden bonuses or something. So good to see that they don't. Continue giving not Arch some more experience. Though, you're gonna have to be judicious with that a bit, because he is also, I did just remember that he is currently wielding the only tome that I have for him. Okay. These guys aren't currently on defensive terrain, but they do move. Because this hack does do the nice thing where if they don't move, they just are given 0 movement. So I know that these guys will move, so I can bait them to split them up. I don't necessarily want Tam to kill there. Tim is the growth unit. Tam is the mini Jagan. He starts out with good stats and has low growths. Tam starts out with lower stats and has better growths. They both have their uses. But if I'm going to feed experience to someone, it should probably be the growth unit. And I just noticed another nice quality of life thing, kind of adapted for the GBA arena from Fates and Heroes and such. Notice how these two Horse Slayer wielding enemies, when I initiate movement with cavalry units, they have the exclamation points on them as a warning that they have a weapon that's effective against this unit. Could be sound like an old fogey and say back in my day we had to keep track of that stuff ourselves, but I certainly can't. I appreciate the quality of life that it offers. quality of life improvement. You certainly can't make the excuse that you, or make less of an excuse that you didn't notice. It's not quite as visible in the GBA format as it was in Fates or Heroes, but it is at least there. And we're back to snow, and suddenly reinforcements too. Lovely. This is very much a Fire Emblem 6 inspired map anyway, having this ring of forts here that spawns reinforcements. So 15, 14, so yeah, Jay can assist with a kill here. I should probably give Jay a bit more experience himself. He's gonna start falling behind soon if I don't. Well. Thanks to Duelist Blow, I've got 0%, the enemy has 0% hits on Anna, regardless of which of the two weapons I try. That will kill. It does put him in range of pretty much everyone, though. Well, I already missed out on the Peg Knight, so there isn't really anything here de-incentivizing me from kind of turtling my way in. Well, the snow's kind of already preventing me from doing any kind of quick clear here, especially with the reinforcements that keep appearing behind me. Okay. As an axe wielder, skill is never a bad thing. Nosferatu, huh? And it's the... Oh wait, it's Luna. That's different between Sacred Stones and Blazing Sword. Nosferatu is still going to be a bit of a thorn in my side here. He's got weapon advantage on me too. Ten, 12, 9, 2, 8. So 8 attack speed. I'm still sitting at 5, so even with a rally, I'm not going to be able to double him. Though I suppose I can get a little more damage and a little more resistance for next turn. Unfortunately, this knight's range is completely eclipsed by the two shamans, so I can't bait him anymore. Not safely. Gonna have to try to pull the shamans from the other side. Probably can't kill. In theory, that feels like a good idea, but actually, since the shamans can't reach, that probably is a good idea. Bringing Void onto a fort. You got 5 resistance. What turn is it? It is exactly turn 7. So we've got some bonus of Void for just one more turn. Just this last turn. He's probably going to go back onto one of these forts and attack Anna. And then I'll have to deal with the shaman next turn. Be nice if these two got a support, even if there wasn't any actual dialogue. Damn, 12 hurts. Ow. It's not quite half, but it's still enough. At least I double. This is probably the best way to handle Nosferatu. You get them to attack you first, so that even if they hit, their life steal doesn't actually heal them for any, and you can... Ow. Hope this misses. Yes. 29 was pretty good chances of it missing, but anyway, yeah, retaliate against Nosferatu so that then you can kill on the next turn before they have a chance to cast again. I'm quickly getting overwhelmed here. $16, 60%. But that's... I know I said I was going to conserve the Blitz Lance, but I kind of need its hit rate right now. Do not have a very small margin of error. Please crit. Alright, well, at least Jay has good speed as well himself. Oh, he has Adept. Speed % chance. Yeah, there's no good way of going about this one, especially with a Iron Blade popping up here. 66% chance of hitting her on enemy phase. I could get Anna to safety, but it would put Void at risk. Need Anna with lunge so that I can take out this soldier and take his place on the fort. Alright, well, I am going to pop this vulnerary and kind of hope for the best here. Some combination of the soldier going for J and the shaman going for one of these two, so that these two don't attack the same person. And hopefully J can at least dodge one of these two. I might be able to pull this shaman over here with my other crew now. Even if it means giving the shaman a forest tile. You've got a sword. Alright, gotta bring in Leroy for some security here. What is this hit chance? 84. Huh. 14. Okay, so that won't kill either way. Or he can't kill me either way there. It may be to my advantage to rally Tim instead. Or not, I actually don't think. Yeah, he's probably not going to go for Tim. Even if I do this. Give him a target that won't fight back. Alright, who's gonna die and how bad? Well, that's about what I expected and what I was hoping for so far. 36%. Ah. I think it's more frustrating that he died to that than anything else. I may already be in some form of checkmate here. That swarm of enemies on top of my lord and only one support. I shudder to have to force her to take so many crit opportunities. Man, the soldier still has a 50% chance to hit her even when she's on a fort. See, that's what it means to have zero luck. He doesn't have... his stats aren't particularly impressive. Alright. Reduce numbers here. Yeah, I think that's a standard value for Iron Lances and Sacred Stones and Blazing Sword. It's just Binding Blade where they're actually a little bit lower, because all the hit rates were a little lower in Binding Blade. Okay, need to kind of rush over there. I gotta maximize my avoid at this point, so just to kind of hope to dodge as much as I can. If I lose void this year, then I might try using her lunar brace at the start of restarting this map just to see what it does, because she could really use a boost in power. This is good, and I can dodge tank like it's no one's business. At the very worst, I can stall this way. Oh, and before I forget again, the whole reason I kind of brought up that unit balance spiel earlier, talking about how the game is kind of designed for you to lose units, is because I don't know if this hack had that taken into account. Right, seal speed. Functionally, this is 0. It's just this is kind of what it looks like when the bar goes backwards into negatives. Actually, I don't think I have anyone that is capable of testing whether it's actually below 0 or not. Let's see if I can bait. Oh, you're not close enough anyway. Okay. Continue on. I might have been able to do something gimmicky with the rescue here, but I've already kind of committed my units. I would have needed to rescue with someone, and then actually no, because Leroy wouldn't have been able to reach thanks to the snow. Wouldn't have been able to get any further. Taking advantage of duelists below here to actually I should be focusing on the mages here, the shamans. This might have actually been a bad idea. Okay. I am still getting used to the fact that Void's luck makes her the antithesis of a dodge tank. An anti-dodge tank. Hey, strength. Yeah, I can give up the fort to him for, okay, a double crit, 3%. If you're trying to apologize for killing Jay earlier, I'm not entirely buying it. You can't mess with my heart that way, RNG. This is quickly getting to the point where it kind of feels like too much reinforcements, especially for having a deployment limits already. it was an interesting idea with this incorporating the snow with it. But I think it needs a little more, needs to be thought out a little bit more for this to have been successful. Like, it could have been a cool idea for you to initially felt like you might have been overwhelmed by reinforcements, but when you think about the thinking about the placements with respect to the snow, like they might actually have been manageable, whereas because the snow would prevent them all from reaching you at once. But between the roads and the frequency and their placements, it's not quite achieving that result. Oh, yeah, that's not helping anything. That's supposed to be a sniper skill, not archer. Those are some lovely hit rates. What do you have? Malefic Aura and Spur Defense. That's interesting. Do all of you have? All of you have that. Great. That's why you're doing no damage. Okay. So you go up to 45 if I fail to hit. But you're also up to 35 if I fail to hit here, so... Yeah, at least they're not ambush spawns. That would have been... yeah, kind of awful. I'm trying to figure out why you have such high hit rates on me. I guess... low luck. I guess I could throw a hatchet. That gives me a better hit chance than him, at least. Can you... yeah, okay. So, no. Well, alright, I accidentally ended anyway. This is doable. Yeah. At least not too big of a deal here. I might as well come in and melt him with Leroy, because at that point I couldn't block Leroy off, and Provoke is going to make the Shaman target him anyway. I really want to move Void onto this fortress, but I can't reach. Yeah, not with hit rates like that. You just get to sit tight and pray that enemies don't crit you again anymore. Especially since that archer would have had just enough might to kill with the crit. Alright. Go explore that armory, pick up a Lance Reaver like I said I would. Ooh. Oh, I gotta reduce numbers here. Defense is good. Luck is definitely good in this case, and speed's always welcome. Can I... 16... That actually would kill. Even without a crit. Assuming this hits. Alright. Crit's good too. I'll take it. I was saying I want to get more experience on Void. Now I still have to figure out how to deal with the boss. Void has weapon advantage with a anti-infantry weapon. So there's that. I do have enough for Armor Slayer. I clearly mathed that wrong. And the blade weapons I'm not overly fond of for the player. They're kind of nasty they kind of embody what the enemy philosophy tends to be as far as having a kind of a shady, unreliable chance, but risk of doing a lot of damage to the player. Meanwhile, the enemy doesn't really have to worry about self-preservation. What? Oh. That is an avalanche of berserkers. That is, yeah, that's a anti-turtling incentive. That's kind of, beating the turtle over the head with a club. Okay, I get it, game. I'm picking up the pace. Can't. Actually, I could rescue. Yeah, just kind of rally to reduce that enemy hit rate a little bit. And here goes. I can take it since it wasn't a crit. Hey, defense. Oh, right. Learned something at level 10. Is a rightful king? Yeah. So, nice. I might actually see Aether now. It's, Hello, Anixius. I'm just finishing up this somewhat miserable chapter. Oh, and they... Oh! I mean, at this point, it's not really a factor, but... Yeah, let's add Fog of War on top of everything. I think I still have snow movement as well. Oh well, peace. I'm out of here. Alright, I will save over this slot and go back to that chapter another time. Fort of Bad. I'm not sure what I'm expecting from this. There's no intro. Oh boy. Summoners. This looks lovely. I don't think I'm supposed to beat this guy. Well, actually, 5 defense. He's gonna one-shot literally everyone in my army, but we'll see. Okay. I don't have a thief, so hopefully I get one. Or let me check to see if there are any chest keys. I don't see any chest keys. Oh man, already making me regret losing Jay. Okay, it's a standard longbow. Okay. Well, since I lost Jay, I can deploy Jerome, who at this point has been basically relegated to a reposition bot. I'm not even going to give him any items. He's a meat shield and a reposition bot as necessary. Got another hand axe, that'll be useful. Alright. Last chapter took me a fair bit longer than I was expecting because I wasn't expecting all of the reinforcements that ended up showing up. I'm assuming Void's a female, just because of the Erica sprite. Rightful King is kind of just a skill name, so I'm not sure if that's actually indicative of the gender. Alright. Let's see what the Fort of Bad has to offer. Nothing on turn 1. Alright, so we got the Knight and the Fighter on the first turn. Gonna retaliate to both. Can even rally too. No. Tam hitting a little harder than I was expecting there. But that's okay. Despite not being the growth character, he's still getting pretty decent level ups. So I certainly won't complain. I kind of would have rathered the hand axe, but it follows the Sacred Stones rules where it's the item that dropped is the second one in the inventory regardless of what order it was, or regardless of what's actually in the slot. So that fighter started out with a hand axe in the drop slots, but since he attacked with the hand axe, it got switched. Oops, should not have put Anna in range there. It'd be pretty cool if Anna magically gained the ability to pick locks too. I'd be okay with that. It'd be kind of right up her alley. These enemies are really slow. A lot slower than I was expecting. As this is kind of what happens when you have multiple people working on different chapters in the same hack. Who was that? Female mage. Oh, yeah, I guess all of the female mages probably have this. Once again, Arch is probably my best tank at the moment still. That feels so weird. This hack needs more companions. I was hoping for more from that level up. Light brand soldiers, huh? I just saw 1-2 range and was expecting a javelin. Yes, this is a hack. It's a fan-made hack by a hacking community that was actually put together in 31 chapters in 1 week. It is an entirely different game from what the base that was used. All of the characters are different, their growths and inventories and so on. You have a paladin with 0 luck, defense, and res. Story is based off of a Lemon fanfic, or is that supposed to be EM1 from, because I can't tell, and honestly they both mean equally little in this context. So who can attack me if I attack that mage? No one. Wow. It's kind of weird that, like, the stats on these enemies don't seem that dramatically different than the stats on the enemies last chapter, but they're definitely falling a lot easier. Oh, the Void secretly has good resistance that I hadn't noticed. In this case, good resistance just means higher than 5. Yep. you still have a... Oh man, it's a light brand I'm missing out on here. Considering I don't think there's any way that the Slim Lance is going to outdamage the light brand on any of my units. So I don't think I'm going to be able to force him to change. Especially since I only have 2 sword wielders. But one of them does have 0 defense and provoke, so... An Eamon fanfic that has some implicit implications that I don't really want to explore any further. Oh, I should have put him on the pillar. There we go. Even if he doubles... I'm desperately trying to get him to switch to the Slim Lance, and he didn't do it. Oh well. Man, so far this chapter has been kind of cruel in how it's, there's the thief, how its enemy drops have been just kind of teasing me constantly. Hey, you could get this item, but since we're probably not going to kill this guy before he engages you, he's going to switch to this other weapon that you don't. He's going to switch to the weapon that you want so that you get the weapon that you don't want. Bob. Okay, Bob. You're a thief person. Swap, huh? That's pretty neat. Pick locks and see in the darkness. Hey, it's a playable, obtainable character. Assumably, yeah, okay. Talk with Void. Yeah, obtainable character that actually has decent luck. Fancy that. Respectable, well, for a level 3 thief, respectable defense and res as well. Now I just need to make sure I get over there before he kills himself. I'm gonna run out of Elfires before I get another tome for him. Unless there's more out here. Eight defense, 14, 6, 4. 6, 4, 7. $17, 21. I think that might be a little much even for Arch. But I can... This should be doable. Especially if I rally. If I rally, that actually might be entirely feasible. Get the hatchet still. probably switch you to the Iron Lance, or Iron Axe, because there's nothing at range to retaliate against. And I actually left her there. Okay. She's actually, for a change, not in danger from either of these guys. Okay. Not Arch is legit my best tank in terms of defense and HP, I think. Yeah, it's kind of neat though. I actually like the idea of a mage tank, and it kind of harkens back a little bit to the FE4 days of like barons and stuff, and you have a whole bunch of classes that don't never really seemed like they should be using magic but can, and barons were never playable in 4. But I think that they're kind of a neat idea. There's no real reason that a mage has to be light, like cloth armor or something. You can armor up a mage. They just need to read their book. Maybe they won't be able to move as far, but or it's even debatable whether or not they actually need to read their book, because Nino can't read. Just need to understand the principles, I guess. There's a lot of enemies here I need to kill. I mean, it's not an insult, it's just a statement of fact. Nino can't read. She's working hard to fix it. She's doing her best. Not Arch. Anti-Arch is actually an even better tank for having seal speed, because it means that all these guys are going to be so much easier to sweep up with the rest of my team. Go against the weapon triangle here for a minute. That's just a second. Tam can handle it. Gonna be. No, the thief's still alive. Yeah, he's just up in the corner. He moved past the soldier here, and I'm hoping that this knight, let's see, 17, okay. So he can't kill Bob, but I do need to kind of hasten some help over to him, because he will kill Bob on the second turn if I don't do anything. Is that up? That is a pillar. I will try my best to save Bob. Well, what you see is kind of what you get, because this is a this is a hack, and it was a hack that was made entirely in a week, and they didn't really put too much effort into the story. It's mostly a kind of a convention and experimental thing. Just to see if they could do it. And they did it. It's kind of pieced together, but they did it. So this is the base game to this. The game that I patched to make this hack was Sacred Stones. So it took Sacred Stones and it turned into this. What you see here, which as you can see is definitely not Sacred Stones. It's kind of neat because it incorporated a skill system into the GBA game format. Oh, I didn't notice this before, but this summoner apparently has a C rank in swords. Don't know why, but okay. I'm also kind of grateful that he hasn't summoned anything yet. But if you're looking for a little more information about the hack itself, I typed up a nice blurb beneath the video in the on my Twitch channel, kind of an explanation of where it came from and some links to get where to get it, and a bit more general information from the creator himself. So if I attack, I can actually take you out. The question is, can Leroy handle attacks from 2 enemies with only 9 attack? I was expecting more for some reason. All right, 9 and 11, he can tank with just his HP. That's not a problem. We don't have healers who can attack either, so I don't have to worry about that. I highly doubt that I can recruit the summoner, considering he's got maxed magic. And there's actually a talk field here, so character whom this unit may talk on the battlefield is empty, as opposed to over here with Bob, where Bob can talk to Void. So no, I'm pretty sure the summoner's the boss. I am also interested in what this conversation might entail. I'm glad he missed, as that means he'll survive an extra turn. Yes, this is what I expected. And 9 damage still hurts with still, it feels like it hurts more when you have 0 defense and res, and this is also a female archer. I wonder if this archer has the nice thighs skill as well. Hey, a thunder, I rather desperately need that actually. Nope. Does not have nice thighs, unlike all of the female mages. Yes, there's poison. There's plenty of other status ailments in Fire Emblem. Though aside from poison, they're usually relegated to only being inflicted by staves. There's Berserk, Sleep, Silence are the main other ones. Um, Sacred Stones had monsters that could inflict stone. Let's see here. I think that's about it. Tank Mage. Distract these reinforcements. Actually, I take that back. I think I want Tam to do that. Because Tank Mage is going to be kind of needed over here to help occupy the incoming forces. Yeah, Jerome didn't get a portrait. Well, doesn't get a mug. Or he has a mug, he doesn't have a mini mug, I guess. I have him fielded literally just for his reposition skill. Like that. I'd like to do that at the moment. I'm gonna make sure all the enemies have been contained or neutralized before I do that though. Killer? Aw, no crit. But it'll level up. Yes, more speed. Need more speed. There's always a need for speed. You have... Yeah, I'm not... Unfortunately not doubling anything with him until I get that Thunder Tome. But I only take 2 damage, and screw doubling, we're just gonna leaven over here and crit anyway. I'm not sure what to do with Leroy this turn. Just stay in range of Void's bonds, so you get HP back. I think Bonds has a longbow range. Oh, I just saw PokeJoe's comment in Discord. I'll see if I can, oh wow, these guys have some pretty hefty weapons. See if I can kind of go over my thought process as I go. I hope that Mage isn't toting something that's going to murder me, and she isn't. Good. No, Anti-Arch is definitely extremely tanky for a mage, both in his defense stat and his HP. And I certainly am appreciating it because he is actually my tankiest character at the moment. Which is weird because, as I've pointed out a few times tonight, my Paladin has no defense or resistance. Alright, ready for a riveting discussion? I hope you're satisfied. I'm curious when the summoner starts summoning. Probably when I cross into here. Maybe. I gotta keep an eye out on you. Well, yes and no. Thankfully, the enemies in this particular map have been on the weaker side, especially compared to the last map. The reposition skill on Jerome is kind of like a push, except it basically takes any unit that's adjacent and puts them on the other side of Jerome. Ooh, a rune sword that I'm not going to get before he uses on me. That could be interesting. I think I'm supposed to steal that red gem if I care enough to. Ooh, a short bow. Okay. They didn't. One thing that's popular to do with. Yeah, it's a German suplex, I suppose. That's not effective. That's effectively what it does without causing the pain to the ally unit. So one thing that's sometimes popular in hacks when you're messing around with weapon properties is to actually make the short bow 1 range or 1 to 2 range. And I have done this in some of my own hacks, and I haven't quite decided how I feel yet. When you make it a 1 to 2 range weapon, it basically joins the ranks of the hand axe, the hatchet, and the javelin as being debatably overpowered, especially since the short bow natively has low weights, and you could crank up the weight, but it doesn't really make sense as a short bow anymore. You probably would want to rename it as a crossbow or something instead. And even the weight on those weapons that I mentioned never really held them back from being incredibly powerful. They were the best weapons to use on have prepared for enemy phase in the event that their weight didn't kill you outright, by making the enemy double, because it allowed you to counterattack and deal damage to every enemy that attacks you, not counting someone who might be wielding a longbow who can actually outrange a 1 to 2 range. But yeah, it's basically the same reason anyone who has played Fire Emblem Heroes might find a distant counter or close counter to be overpowered. Well, he did kind of need more strength. It's actually right. Weird that this priest has a strength stat and the mage has a magic stat, so obviously it does have magic, but I'm wondering if he picks up a physical weapon and he promotes, if I ever get him that far. I suppose I do have 31 chapters to find out. Anyway. Definitely cannot attack this Myrmidon without being attacked by the soldier. Unfortunately, because of the knight's position, I won't really be able to get his javelin, because I'm going to have to bait him out as well. It's kind of curious that these troubadours have not moved. I'm wondering if that was an error in the programming, or if that was intentional. Regardless, my best bet at the moment seems to be leaving Not Arch here to tank the Myrmidon this turn. I have not run into a world map yet, but this is only chapter 6, which would have been before well, no, they do, even in the first few chapters of Sacred Stones, they at least show you the world map, even if they don't really give you the option of moving anywhere. So I have not actually encountered a world map. This has been linear so far. Anyway, I'm making sure that this Myrmidon can't kill Tim, which he can't. So I will let Anna potentially deal with the Myrmidon as well. Yeah, it was made in a week. It wasn't one person, it was, I think, 5 or 6 people, but still, this is the fastest even a team has ever made an entire 31 chapter hack. It actually has more chapters than Sacred Stones has, which is also interesting in its own right. But just kind of a nice, interesting display of mastery of the current hacking community. That this was possible to the extent that it is in the time that it took. More reinforcements, and those Dragon Knights aren't going to be fun, especially since I lost my archer last chapter. A Dragon Spear. They're not too bad. Arch will probably eat them up. 19, yeah. Maybe not all of them at once, but I still need to swing Bob back around to get the chests near my start point. Which is sounds like a job for Leroy. Actually, I need Bob to steal that red gem for me. Gotta make sure he's fast enough first, which, yeah, isn't an issue. Hellfire and short bow. So I could actually... These guys aren't too big of a deal because they're kind of coming at me one-on-one. I can just kind of set up... in this case, I just have to let him come to me and I'll just tank a hit. Leroy will get it because he's got provoke skill. And he has 0 defense and res, so all the enemies want to target him. And then I will steal the red gem off him next turn. And then finish him off. And then the Myrmidon behind him isn't really noteworthy in any sense. He's got typical spread steel sword, which is slowing him down, yeah, a little bit. So he's got 9 attack speed, not a big deal. So these guys are pretty non-threatening, but this kind of bunch around here could be troublesome a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Tam with his hand axe. I might actually trade him my Tim's hatchet just for a little bit of extra safety. So 11 con, 12, so only 1, so 10 attack speed, 5. 11 damage, 14. 11, 7 is 3. 14, 4, 10, so 13 damage total from both of them. Okay, yeah, you can handle that with a hand axe. So I gotta make sure in range of both of them. So they will come down and kind of tango with Tam across the wall here instead of continuing as a bunch up the hallway where I then have to deal with all of them together. I would really like to give Nodarch that Thunder Tome that I got from Bob. Bob opened this chest, and there's nothing else in his inventory, so I wonder if it was gold, which I do think I gained gold. Yeah, there are skills for classes that aren't in this game. There's actually a bunch of awakening skills, and even a few fate skills, and reposition is actually from Fire Emblem Heroes. But he's got Gale Force, reposition, camaraderie. My priest actually has Rally Spectrum, which is really, really nice and has been a huge boon in Miracle. Miracle is a little different than usual. It doesn't operate on luck at all. It just kind of prevents you from being nuked from above half health. We've got Tim and Tam, who have even rhythm and odd rhythm respectively, but they also share the Oni Savage's skill Fiery Blood, which is +4 damage when not at maxed. Myrmidons have Duelist's Blow, and Anna also even has Lucky 7. So yeah, skills are really cool. They can also kind of mess with you. The very first boss of the very first chapter was a knight that had reflect, or counter I should say, which is basically reflect. All the damage that he takes comes back. And I actually killed my... I had to restart because I lost my lord, because I didn't realize that I would be taking extra damage. Anyway. So general plan's already in set for these guys. They'll kind of come at me as they will. Gotta make sure that my reposition bot doesn't get nuked before, without needing to. In this hack, you can actually hit select on the stats screen to actually bring up what each character's growth rates are, so you can see them right in the stat screen. So Jerome here has fantastic growths, but god-awful bases. And maybe on normal mode, he could have been like the ultimate growth character, where if you babied him just enough that he could start getting those levels, and he'd snowball into like a Donal or a Mozu. On hard mode, it's been really hard to get him the kills that he needs without him getting himself flattened, and I've kind of just set him aside because the effort that it was taking to kind of feed him was actually detracting from the combat ability of my other units. So based on depending on how the progression of enemy difficulty went, I could have been shooting myself in the foot for trying to train him on hard mode, because he might have been absorbing the resources that would have been necessary for my other units to gain in order for them to even compete with the other units, the other enemies. He's a particular archetype that I think in hard mode, if hard mode was given any thoughts, he might actually be considered a trap for that difficulty. I haven't tried normal mode, but he might actually be viable in normal mode. But he is definitely an extreme case of a growth character. Like if you got Esther Nino on the first chapter with even lower stats, that's kind of what they are. Anyway, going to start kind of luring from this group. The archers should all be in range. We got 2 longbows, so gonna throw an Hellfire here. And then try to finish off with Anna, who actually has reasonable defense. You're actually kind of okay defensively. You don't have much HP, but fantastic avoid, and the defense I think should be good enough to be within this baiting territory here. I don't think this, since this knight didn't move last turn, I don't think this knight is programmed to move unless there's someone in his range. So I can kind of ignore him for now. And I'll leave Tim over here to help deal with these archers next turn. So with that, I think I am finished with this turn. That is also actually a good thing. Splitting up forces is always something that's beneficial. It makes them way easier to deal with. Welp, and a capture speed. Surprise, surprise. That 4%, that low percentage crit always makes me a little nervous, but I don't exactly have any way of dealing with it at the moment other than just kind of praying for not getting critted. That was, yeah, glorious moment of 2-3% crits in a row. Oh right, Rune Sword, I forgot about you. Welp. Right, I also forgot that the Rune Sword just kind of says no one's gonna get weapon triangle, so that's why I actually had a decent hit rate against him. I'm a little sad that I didn't get the Rune Sword, but I will live, I guess. Definitely some stuff to if I ever play it again, play this hack again in the future, there will be some things I will kind of try a little bit harder to get, and that Rune Sword and all of these different various spoils would be among them. For now, I'll just kind of grab what I can get. And then make off as best I can. No surprises here, right? Just Relief and Kanto. Dragon Spear's nice. Yeah, I said that earlier. It's just a good weapon. Just has good stats. 10 might for only 8 weight is a fantastic ratio. It's like comparable to a steel lance with almost half the weight. 70 hits, not fantastic, but it's not terrible either. I mean, it's only 5 less than an Iron Axe. Question is, can I safely tread into this territory without starting to get overrun by summons? I suppose the counter question is, do I have to even go in there? I could kind of just park anti-arch right around here and everything will kind of run into him and eventually die. Let's see, you have 20 and 5 defense, 25, 12, 12, so at worst 24 damage. Okay. So I'm thinking I'm going to gotta move Leroy somewhere where he's not going to get beaten up and bullied. And then I'm going to use reposition bots to reposition your Bob so that I can bring Anna in to attack. Duelist blow doing work here, keeping the enemy hit rates low, even with the steel sword. See, you are just out of range, so that's good. I'm probably just gonna leave them in this formation. So the main reason I moved Bob over, in addition to getting him a little bit closer to this chest in the south here, is I can grab his Thunder Tome without having to retreat with Not Arch. So 19 and 5. So, okay. You're a little... This knight's a little troublesome here. I think what I can do... I think Jerome's gonna die this turn. And I think I'll be okay with that. He was a good reposition bot while it lasted. Excuse me. Maybe. We'll see. Let's see if I guess if I put Tim over here, give him... You have 11 speed, -2, 9, right? So you have 9, so you won't double Tim. Probably not even if I give him the Iron Axe or something. Yeah, I'll conserve the hatchet for now. 19 damage. 7 defense. So that's kind of only gonna tickle. Okay, so I think I can safely put Tim here, and I'm gonna put Void. Gonna put Void here. Because I'm then going to use right here and use my Rally Spectrum. That will give +2 to all stats, which will be all stats for you within 2 spaces. So that's these 5 units: Void, Anna, Jerome, Tim, and Bob. And if both of the archers choose to go after Jerome, I don't think it'll save him. Let me see here. 10 weight, 7 con is -3, so she does only have 2 attack speed with the longbows equipped, which won't double Jerome. But they also do 11 damage apiece, and he will only have 3 defense. So 11... 3 is 8 damage twice, so yeah, actually he could survive both of them. And I mean, there's always a chance that he'll dodge too. It would have been nice if that hit, but that's about what I expected. Oh, Steel Axe is actually getting kind of scary damage rates even on anti-arch. Oh man, that's a good level up too. Magic and speed are both great. Getting some resistance and luck, all just icing on the cake. Unnecessary crits. Give me that dragon spear. Even though Void's the only one who's gonna make any decent use out of it. So let's send it right to the supply now. Yeah, I was a little afraid of that, but I don't think I know. Yeah, all right. That was unfortunate. Yeah, I probably should have let Jerome go there. Jerome is a much less of a asset than my only healer and buff bot. Welp. Javelin, Iron Lance. So, if I leave Tam down there, he will probably continue to split these Dragon Knights. If I could safely get him down here, it might be nice for him to just deal with them all. Let's see what I can do. Not quite, but I can get him in range of the javelin thrower. Yeah, Tim is not as fast as Tam. I need a lot of people dead, and I don't have a lot of people to do it with. Alright. Guess we will start. Betty's death may be the beginning of the end here. Summoner is not activated yet. I have a feeling he won't do anything until I cross these stairs. I am getting flanked in the worst way. You have 19. Yeah, you only have 13 health left. You're not going to be helpful on offense. I don't think I even have enough units to wall off anywhere. is this karma for landing 3% crits in a row last chapter? He's getting hit by a 13%. See, I can one-shot you, but I need to wall off all of these guys in order to safely deploy Leroy. I haven't lost anyone yet this chapter aside from Betty. I lost my archer last chapter, and I also missed out on an opportunity to get a Pegasus Knight last chapter because she went and killed herself before I could get to her. But that's also partially because I didn't know she would be there, and she died 2 turns later. Which I could have planned for if I knew she was coming. Somewhat. I didn't have a lot of options last chapter. There's also the possibility there were 2 villages in earlier chapters that I missed. They were either destroyed by bandits because I couldn't get to them on time, or they were I could not. I had to end the chapter on one of them before I could reach them because a bandit was going to reach them first. So I have no idea what was in those villages. It might have been another playable character. I only narrowly recruited anti-arch here as well. So Void is only 4 defense still, which isn't great, and I shudder to see the crit percentages on the enemies, but I can at least kill 2 of them, so I only have to deal with 3 attacks next turn. Yeah, 3 attacks next turn on this side. And then only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You'd still have to deal with the Dragon Knight next turn. I am probably still going to offer up Jerome as a sacrifice here. Because that Dragon Knight on the right can still reach Void. And Void is not a sturdy... he does not have defense. And her luck, with the 0 luck, means she's constantly at risk of being criticaled. So which of you 2 are more threatening? 655, 655. You're pretty much the same. I should reduce numbers here. That's the number 1 priority, is reduce the number of attacks that the enemy gets on enemy phase. In contrast to a strategy where you kind of want to weaken all the enemies, but you don't have to worry about killing them. Usually when you're reasonably stronger and you're mostly looking to clear out numbers, a lot of numbers at once, but you can take a good number of hits as well. If you weaken up all the enemies, then on the enemy phase they'll kind of crash into your units and kill themselves. But you do have to be able to take a decent number of attacks in order for that to be a viable strategy, and at the moment I do not have. I have one unit that has reasonable, maybe one or two units that have any reasonable defense, and in this case reasonable is 8 or 7. Okay, I have a bunch of 8s, okay. And yeah, they're not gonna, especially not without their healer now. Is this even a safe thing to do? 14, 5, 9, 12. See, especially with the fire right behind. Even that this isn't exactly safe. I'm just gonna sacrifice Jerome there. Oh, thank God that's a slim lance. I suppose it wouldn't be too bad considering she dodged it anyway. That was a pretty clutch dodge too. Oh boy. Oh yeah, at least Void has decent resistance. That's at least the second time I've said that this chapter. Fire Emblem Hero is making me wish I had a rehabilitate staff here. That's a lot of Dragon Knights. I don't think I'm going to get down there. Back to the pillar that I can't quite reach. You are out of range, actually. 45, huh? Lower on these, but if this one wasn't here, then I'd be able to cross I might not have been able to reach that forest this turn. Alright, so I'm gonna have to try to swing around. How much damage? You do 8 damage. If I had cover, if I had definite access to cover, I could definitely tank them with Tam, but I'm not confident that I'll be able to get there. So I can at least give one of his sides a wall so that he can only be attacked from three sides plus thrown at javelins, and I don't really expect the javelins to hit. Low accuracy plus weapon triangle disadvantage. Saving grace for losing Betty is at the very least my Lord has a passive heal to other allies that I can kind of abuse slowly if the reinforcements ever kind of give me a break. Not enough damage. I can outrun that knight, assuming I'm out of range. I might not be, but he only has a slim lance, so it's not a big deal. He doesn't do much damage. And prioritize clearing the other enemies first then. Void is good for mages. She can even take crits from them. Barring anything popping out, I should be safe to nuke you. I guess I'm going to have to use the Silver Lance here. I have never fully appreciated how useful the Jagans were until I ended up with one that actually had no tanking ability whatsoever. You should kind of hang up here in case more reinforcements show up. Alright, go Tam. Dodge like your life depends on it, because it does. The only reason I didn't want to pull him back towards the pillar was because it would make it harder for Bob to slip back by. Though I'm thinking at this point, well, Tam's doing pretty well here, so I think I can leave him at the moment. Yeah. Just gotta make sure I take care of the enemies that actually have decent hit rates on him. But then I can switch over to the hand axe and finish off everyone else. Here's an example of a strategy that would actually be beneficial for me to weaken a bunch of units instead of actually outright killing one of them. So let's see here. Yeah, I can grab this. Just Hero's Crest. That's good. I definitely considering early promoting someone because I desperately need boosts in stats at the moment and just about everywhere. So like if I do this, actually that's the javelin, so he's not going to die next turn. I'll probably end up breaking the hand axe this turn if I do this. Oh, right. And let's see. Turn 13. So Odd Rhythm just kicked in and he's going to be going even crazier. Because I was just noticing his the enemy hit rates are down even further this turn, which is perfect, just what I needed. So use a hand axe here, and of course I get hit. But that shouldn't happen much more, especially this turn with even lower hit rates on the enemies. So that should be 3 dead next turn, or this turn on enemy phase, and then at least 4 wounded next turn. Alright. So things have definitely slowed down up top, which is good. You're level 8, you're level 9, you're level 10, you're level 9. I do have an Armor Slayer. I did pick up an Armor Slayer last chapter, So I actually will give that to Anna so that she can get a little more experience. I take that back. I'm going to give it to Tim because he's the lower level still. But Anna having the Armor Slayer in her inventory is still a good thing. So in the meantime, everyone just huddle around Void and lick your wounds. Stop. Unnecessary crits. I'm glad I got that RNG number, that low number there, because I definitely don't want the enemy to be getting them. Good defense and luck. I've never been more I have never been more thankful to get luck level ups than in any other Fire Emblem game than this one. Wow. I wonder if this batch is a little weaker. Because I wasn't one round killing them last turn. Man, that is the third 4% crit for Tam. Doing work to conserve uses on that hand axe too. Because those were all first turn crits too, as well. Instead of, or first attack crits. So that you didn't throw the axe first and then get a critical, at which point it wouldn't have mattered. So actually, yeah, did work there. Did work. This is okay. This is fine. I'm going to solid snake my way out of here. Tam's just going to keep eating up these Dragon Knights. All of them have javelins this time. And by eating them up, I mean I'm going to sit on a mountain or a forest and just dodge tank all of them, while the rest of the team takes care of everything else. Alright. I'm gonna start moving into position. I'm actually gonna try to kill the summoner before he can summon. Oh, relief. I was like, why is that Wyvern Rider, why is that Dragon Knight healing? And then I remembered that he has a skill. Skill where he recovers HP whenever he has, it doesn't have, when there's no allies within 2 spaces. Alright, one of those Wyvern Riders is occupying the forest that I wanted to take, but there's still a forest in range that I can now move Tam onto. And get those sweet single-digit hit rates on the enemies. I'm not even gonna not gonna hand axe anymore. So conserve the last two uses in case I need them later. At this point, it's just good enough that Tam can stall down there. I'll make sure I don't wander into range over here. Okay, so excuse me. With 13 res, I'm probably not going to do much with magic attacks. Nope. Oh wait, I only have to seize the throne, so I actually don't have to deal with you at all. Considering I lost my priest, and I don't think my priest would have been high enough staff rank to use the rescue staff anyway. It's probably better that I don't tango with the summoner. I'm just gonna try to nuke the boss and get in and get out. Except I'm not sure if that's even doable. Three res. It's just massive throne bonuses. 3 defense, 30 avoid. 3 resistance, 17 damage. I'm being reduced by 8 damage. So yeah, this is one of those thrones that actually has a hidden resistance value of 5 instead of the same as being the same as the defense. That always kind of bugged me, but I've noticed it before. Short spear, silver lance. So if I do this, assuming both of them hit, if I'm thinking about moving him in and then just waiting and letting him counterattack, that'll mean, assuming both of them hit, he'll be in kill range next turn. If only one of them hits, he'll still be in kill range next turn, but I might be hurting a bit. Move the rest of my characters into a position where I'm hoping they can deal with anything that the summoner summons. Oh good, you're finally a C rank in swords. I missed when that happened. Alright. Yep, throw your javelins, 0% hit rate. You can't even RNG out of your way to hitting me there. At least one of these hit, please. Yeah, good. Anna with the either the Lance Reaver or the Armor Slayer may be able to finish him off. It might be interesting if the summoner actually heals the knight as well, because he did have a whole bunch of stabs on him. Now that I think about it, and I didn't check what they were. I should have done that. Alright, no ads. I will take it. Maybe he's just there to be menacing. He just sits there menacingly. He has a physique and a mend, and he hasn't moved to use either of them, which I'm okay with. So that's okay, not great, but that doesn't do any damage. Lovely. What about you? That is strangely advantageous. Dare I risk it? It's high risk, moderate reward. Rescue staff. It assumes that I get another healer within a decent amount of time. I guess I could promote Arch, not Arch. Alright. I think it's best thing for me to do is just kill the knight and end the chapter. I suppose I can feed a little more experience here. Let me make sure I actually kill the knight first. Don't have to run off with Leroy. There we go. Good. Strength, speed, luck. All stuff that I want more of. Okay. Just picking off some experience there. Oh, I should have swapped. Either of you have anything interesting? Not really. Alright, we're done here. Since I'm going back to chapter 5 before next time and seeing if I can get through that without losing Jay, and then I'll try this one again without losing Betty, and then hopefully by next week I'll have a save file going on to chapter 7 that doesn't have any exceptional amount of people dead. So yay! We made it through, kind of. Most of us. Anyway, that's it for tonight. I can feel myself losing my voice. I don't generally talk this much, but this is great practice for me to kind of build up the stamina talking a bit more, as that may be more relevant to my life in the near future. Thanks everyone for joining, and hope to see everyone here next week then. Good night.